What's up, traders? It's Matt with Conservative Trades. Slow day in the markets today. Slow day in the markets today. Ending the day only up $158.25. There was actually one point of the day today where I was down like $500-600. And so it was kind of one of those slow grinding days, just gradually building myself out of, or digging myself out of the red. And but we did it. We did it. And I tell you guys all the time, a good trader isn't just somebody who can just be right on every single trade that they make. It's somebody who can even when they're not right, figure out ways to still put money on the day, or figure out ways to at least reduce their losses and bring them back to as close to break even as possible. Now, it's not always possible to do that. I've definitely had losing days where I wasn't able to come back from them, and you're going to face that from time to time. But I can't tell you how many days I've spent in the market where I actually started underwater, but because of the skill set and the knowledge that I have and the abilities that I've worked so hard on over the years, there's been a lot of these days that have actually ended green because I was able to dig myself out. And so that's part of it. That's part of trading. And today was just. And by the way, even though I'm probably only up about $100 after fees and commissions today, I will say this: I'm actually up, I think, probably about 11 or 1200 on the week. Came in here Monday. I think I made about, I don't know, somewhere in the neighborhood of $450 some dollars. And then I came in here yesterday and made over $700. And then today I'm ending up over $100. So I'm probably up roughly a little over 1200 on the week. So it's not a bad week at all. And especially when you consider the fact that the vast majority of trades that I've taken pretty much all week this week, if not every trade, has been just a very conservative share size type of trade. Okay, this is going to be my MO, guys. This is my thing. Proving and demonstrating and proving that you don't have to have super huge accounts. You don't have to come in taking 1,000 share lots on every trade like your favorite day trading gurus do out there. Like, you can come in here thinking very sensibly, reasonably, with a tested, proven strategy, and have a pretty good time in the markets, making some pretty good money. A solid side income, and even slowly build it up to where you could even make a full-time income. Okay, and it doesn't take much to do that. And I always want to stress taking that conservative share size, because even as you'll see today on some of the trades that I'm going to show you, there are so many places where my losses could have either A, been much greater, or there's places where I might not have been able to hold through the market. But because I took a conservative share size, I was able to hold through some of the pullbacks and then make some really good profits when the stocks started moving in my direction. So first stock we're going to address today is going to be WB. So WB, I actually got in here in pre-market, right here before the opening bell at roughly 40.78, 40.80. Okay. And I only went 100 shares short. And here's why. We had a major sell off on WB, and it had slowly crept up all through pre-market, pre-market. But when I checked the short float interest, guys, it was almost 78% short float interest. There was almost 78% short bias traders on this stock today. People who were just going to be dumping this stock. They were expecting for the price to be driven down. And listen, I don't know too much of the fundamentals on this stock, so I can't really speak to the fundamentals. But what I do know is that here on this chart, we have all these moving averages that we would have to break through. And the S&P 500 is down. All the markets are pretty much down this week. And it looks like it could crack through 40 and make a good move down to some of these levels down here. Okay. And with a 78% short float interest, I mean, I don't even remember the last time I've seen that kind of short float interest on a stock. But just in case, to play it safe, I only took 100 shares. Okay. Look, I could have been so sure of myself on this trade. I could have jumped in with 500 shares right here, and I never would have been able to hold through this move right here. I mean, it moved pretty much almost $1 right out the gates. Okay. Pretty much $1 right out the gates. I would have been, I mean, think about it. If I had taken 500 shares here, I'd have been $500 down right out the gates. Okay. But because I only took 100 shares, I was able to let the trade play out. And when it came back down here and cracked through the 9 EMA, I thought, okay, finally, all we got to do is close below this 9 EMA and we could maybe start to see that move down. And again, I'm thinking about the fact that, we had already, kind of made on this candle here, it came all the way up here, basically to this previous area of resistance. And I thought that this could be acting as resistance. And so, and by the way, this is where it opened in pre-market. So that's what I was looking for it to do, but it ran against me. And so when it came up here to these levels, I was looking at these levels. I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and average in with another 100 shares. And I was still comfortable. Okay. Now, when it started running up here, that's when I started to get a little uncomfortable. Okay, and even at one point, my P&L showed that I was down like $700. Now, you're never down until you actually sell, okay? Or I should say, in my case, cover, because I was shorting. So I was still holding on to the shares. But when we got a little bit of a pullback, I went ahead and unloaded 100 shares because I was getting nervous, but I was holding on to my shares because, again, I was confident. I was confident. This was butting up against all these major moving averages on the daily. You got the 200, the 50, and the 100 moving average. And so, and again, it's got a 78% short float. Okay, so I'm just like, you know what? Like this just I'm gonna see what happens here. And so it started to show weakness, and so I went short again. I averaged back in, brought my average way up, started taking some shares off the table here, and then right here I averaged again at the break of VWAP. Went short again, took profit, took profit. Okay. Then I went short again at the break of the EMA because I saw that the sellers had pushed this down here. So when it cracked open here, I went short again. I probably should have waited for it to get to this level here, but I went short again, and it started moving against me. So I got out some of the shares there. But then up here, I noticed it was having a hard time breaking back up through these levels. Again, 78% short float interest. I was confident, so I went short again, and it actually broke through VWAP, broke through the 9 EMA, and I held on to my shares. I was not planning on taking any of these off too quickly because I looked and saw again the daily chart, and I thought, this could have a major rundown. I thought it was going to flush harder, but it didn't. It was a fight. It was a fight on WB today, and when it cracked through the 20 moving average on the 5-minute chart, I went short again. It came back up, but it never closed back above the 9 EMA. So it comes down here, and I averaged in again. Okay, and then finally started taking profit here, averaged in again, and then took profit here, and I ended the day with WB. I went from, at one point when I first took my shares off the table here, I was down like, I don't know, 500 and some dollars. But because of averaging in and continuing to trade this the way that I did, I was able to reduce my loss from a negative 600, whatever. I mean, it was 5 something at least, all the way down to only negative 143 on the day with that stock. So I'm pretty proud of that. I wish I had handled it better out the gates. There was a point where I said, if it goes past this point, you can go back and watch the whole live stream. You'll see. There was a moment where I said, if it keeps moving, I'll probably just get out. But you know what? I was stubborn. I didn't get out. I held on to my shares. Now, again, I had confidence because of all this stuff going on and the short float interest and the markets were down and the S&P 500 wasn't really making any kind of major move back up. It was a weak bounce on the S&P 500 today. So yes, there was a little method to my madness, but still yet, I kind of wish I had just gotten out and then waited to see all this and then went in again a little heavier up here for the drop. So I would have actually probably ended in the green on that trade today had I managed it that way. So didn't really manage it well. TVIX, guys, TVIX I just did a ton of scalping on today. You can see MRNA was just whippy, choppy, back and forth action. I really probably only paid for the trades today with this $36. So that was kind of a wash, but I was really happy with this trade. A lot of you guys probably remember last week how I made a trade on Tesla using only 20 shares and I ended up making like $400. Well, today I took a trade on Tesla with only 10 shares and made almost $200. Again, goes to show you don't have to have some kind of huge, massive account and take all these massive share sizes just to profit on something, okay? And with Tesla being a very spready stock, I mean, it moves several dollars at once. There's really no reason at that, at that rate to come in and try to trade thousands of shares or even just hundreds, even just a couple hundred shares is, it's going to be hard to hold through it. I mean, if I had taken a couple hundred shares even here where I got in at 797.20, I mean, by the time it's up here to, move the whole dollar against me, I mean, I'd be tempted to get out because it's like, what if it breaks these highs? I mean, yeah, I'd be under that'd put me underwater $600 on that move alone. So no, I took 10 shares. It cracked VWAP, came down, and I took 5 off here because I had drawn this trend line, and I said to myself, if it comes down and touches this trend line, I'm going to want to go ahead and get out. It actually broke through the trend line, but got bought right back up, came up here, could not hold the 9 EMA, ended up coming down and slamming right through that trend line again, and we started to see a better move. So when it did that, I was pretty confident, especially looking at the SPY during those moments, I was pretty confident that we were going to see a pretty heavy move down. And here's why. Because on the daily chart, I had already drawn this trend line, and I saw that we got a rejection off of it today, and the next area of support was all the way down here at 735. So I'm thinking to myself, well, if the SPY actually doesn't, or if the SPY actually starts to tank today, this is actually going to be a pretty good move to the downside. So I did not take any profit here because, again, I went in 10 shares here. I took 5 off here. So I had 5 left. And I took another 5 here so that I could bring my average back to 10. And I think my average at this point was around 790-ish. I think 790, 789, 790. I don't know. But I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to wait to see if this plays out. I want to see it break this trend line right here. And that's a trend line that I had drawn before any of this move even happened. And so look how perfectly, guys, I tell you guys, all the time, you need to respect trend lines. Other traders are looking at this. That's why it got bought up like that. They're all looking at this as a possible trend line bounce. And there's probably people that went short thinking that it was breaking the trend line and then they got squeezed out. I mean, that looks like a pretty decent little short squeeze to me right there. But again, it was tracking with the SPY, so it didn't make the move that I wanted it to make, so I finally ended up getting out. But I still profited about $135, I think, on this one trade right here. And then when it came through and confirmed the break through the trend, I went short, took a little profit, got nervous, averaged back in, and then got out down here. So just solid trading today. And again, the most shares that I ever took at one given time on Tesla was only 10 shares. Okay, and so I don't know what this move is going to make tomorrow. I don't know how the S&P 500 is going to do tomorrow. Right here, you can see on this daily chart with the levels that I mapped out, I was watching for it to get back up here to the 320 level. It rejected off the 100-day moving average, guys, so we may still have some room to the downside. I will definitely be watching for it to test the 300 levels here tomorrow. So there might be other good opportunities on the TVIX. I was explaining to you guys yesterday that the TVIX is basically does the opposite of the SPY. Now, it's not a perfect inverse, okay? I feel like I need to make that clear. That's something I don't think I made clear yesterday. It's not like a perfect inverse, okay? There is divergent from time to time, and there is lagging also. And, I never trade the TVIX when we've just got normal market momentum like this. I only trade the TVIX on stuff like this. Big drops like this, big drops like this, big drops like this. Okay, because that's when you're going to, that's when you're really going to catch the best volatility on it, and that's when it's going to present the best opportunity. So, long story short, guys, today was, like I said, it was a fight to get back to the green, but we did it, and we're going to come back here tomorrow and see what else the market affords us. So, feel free to join us in the live stream and like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.